going on, y'all? How's your guys' day going? Hope you're having a good day. My day's good. Thank you for asking. If you haven't noticed, there seems to be an increasing amount of separation or just abandonment. I don't even know what to call it at this point anymore. With children. Apparently, children are no longer the future. They are no longer what it is we strive to make things easier for, if you will, which is really funny because obviously at some point in everybody's childhood, you've been told how not easy things are, or you've been told some variation of struggle or suffering, right? Where, you know, you're bored, for example, like how I used to be. I used to be bored all the time. And my mom would get to hear about it every single day. And so she would say, okay, we'll clean something. We'll do this. We'll do that. There was always something to do, right? But now, for whatever reason, I guess everybody's just too busy worrying about themselves. I don't know. I guess the world is, and I am being genuine and sincere when I say that. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I guess the world really is at that place where people are so focused on themselves and so worried about their own lives that, I mean, I guess that's where it's at, man, that children have kind of been put on the back burner. And I don't mean in like I would hope, at least, you know, in an extremely severe way, like actual abandonment, which is obviously a thing. But I mean more so in a more subtle, I guess you could say, not so direct way, right? Where it's obvious. And the way in which that looks like is things like not being able to read, being fed some of the worst food. And I don't mean like Hot Pockets. I'm not talking about like, oh, I feed my kid, you know, a Hot Pocket, or sometimes he eats ramen, or they eat, you know, a toaster strudel, right? Like, no. I know you know what I'm talking about when I bring up those TikTok moms who are showing dinner or breakfast even, and it'll literally the caption. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll try to explain it, but I won't do it justice. You need to see what some of these moms are feeding their children, and they're not joking. This is not like, it's not satire. It's not a joke. They are very serious about it. And essentially what it'll be is you'll see a TikTok of a mother, and the caption will be something like, POV, what I feed my 6 and 8-year-old for breakfast, for dinner. And there she is, taking out donuts, chicken nuggets from McDonald's, toaster strudels, Hot Pockets, all on the same plate. That's one meal. All of those things I named, that's not, you know, one time throughout the week. I'm talking about one entire dinner plate. That's what they have for dinner. And look, don't get me wrong. Do I love those things? Absolutely. I especially loved them when I was a kid, especially ramen and chicken nuggets, right? And it wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't so often. Because as soon as you go on these women's profile, these mothers' profile, you see that this is every single day. And I can't tell if it's gotten to the point now where they're starting to do it for the views, or if they're doing it for money, or what at this point. Like, I seriously hope that's the case. I really do. I really do hope that they're not actually feeding their 6 and 8-year-old, or even I've seen 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds eating these so-called dinners and meals, whatever you want to call them. And so I really do hope that it's for just money and it's fake and they're not actually feeding them, because it looks real to me. It really does, especially when they weren't as popular, right? They would just very casually put it on the plate, give it to their kid. And so who knows? Maybe they've done it. Maybe they've made it more extreme for the sake of views. But anyways, that's besides the point. The point I'm trying to make is that, you know, when I was a kid, all I had to worry about was adults saying things like, welcome to the real world, or watching YouTube videos of a cat with auto-tune while it meows or purrs, and the video gets 60 billion views, right? And now, you know, YouTube's very different. And so I had to worry about completely different things, right? Like I didn't have to worry about the fact that I wasn't going to be able to eat a normal meal, right? Let alone a meal at all, because I wouldn't even really call those meals. if these kids really are eating these things every day. Like, that's not food. You're not even getting nutrition at that point. Or, again, worried about reading. Like, don't get me wrong, I struggled a little bit more than other kids, but I very quickly was able to keep up, and eventually, at least I would say, in my opinion, I'll do a little bit better. Like, I read quite fast, but that's besides the point. But, just very, very fundamental basic things, right? And it's getting so bad to the point that you start to wonder how it is that these kids, when they grow up, right, when they become teenagers, and again, teenagers, I'm talking about kids. This is not talking about young adults. I'm not talking about young adults. I'm talking about preteens to like barely 14 years old who are struggling with these things. And their parents, I guess, are just loading up on the views, because every single time I hear about it, that's more often who it comes from, is their parents, which is insane. But again, besides the point, you think about it and you wonder how it is that they are going to do even enjoyable things. Like, for example, I saw a video not too long ago, and this woman was explaining that kids these days cannot understand music because they can't read, right? Like, reading is a lot of how you think. I don't know where this weird idea has come from, that apparently now reading is only important for the sake of actually reading something on a screen or words, instead of thinking about it literally in the sense that that's how you think. How you read is how you learn how to think. How you learn how to think is how you read. That's why if you've ever seen a kid, for example, who has a very high vocabulary, 99% of the time, it's because either A, their parents speak to them in that way, right? So they're learning from how their parents speak to them, or B, they read a lot. And so naturally they pick up on the vocabulary that they're reading. These kids won't even be able to enjoy music, right? Like, they won't be able to understand double entendres. They won't be able to understand triple entendres. They won't be able to understand wordplay. They won't be able to understand references, allegories, allusions. Very, very, very fundamental basic things. And don't get me wrong, are most people thinking about these things when they listen to music? Probably not, to be honest, right? Most people typically put a song on and they really don't listen, and they're, full-blown adults, right? Like, I'm guilty of that too, where I'll put a song on and I really don't listen to it as I should. And don't get me wrong, it's very easy to do that, but if you were to ask me to, I would be able to tell you what it is I'm listening to, right? I would be able to explain in detail what it is they're saying. Like, I wouldn't have an idea, right? Just based upon what I've heard from other sources or other things in general, other experiences. I would be able to tell you specifically because it's music, right? Because music's very different in a lot of ways that other things aren't. And so you think about it, right? These kids are eventually going to get older, right? They're going to get older and they're going to want to learn new things. And who knows, maybe they might pick up something actually good for them. Maybe they'll pick up some Mozart. Maybe they'll pick up some Wu-Tang. Who knows, right? Like, anything. But the second that they start listening, they're not going to even know why in the first place these things are so legendary. They're going to have absolutely no idea why their parents, why their grandparents, why their brothers, why anybody chooses to engage with these things, because they can't understand. They can't even formulate a thought to understand. I don't think you understand, ironically, again, I don't think you understand how actually insane that is, right? Because think about it like this. When you were a teenager and an adult asked you a question and you maybe didn't know exactly what they were talking about, what would be the most common thing you might say, right? You might just say something like, I don't know. Is it something like this? Guess what? The kids are not able to do that. They even are not able to do that alone. They can't even say that they don't know, or like necessarily, they can't tell you what it is that they don't know. That's how much they don't know, right? Because there are unknown knowns. There are things that you know that you don't know, but it's gotten so bad to the point now that these kids are not capable of even formulating a thought that can tell them what they don't know so that they can try, right? Everything has become so programmed. Everything is a system now. Everything is a play-by-play, step-by-step. There is absolutely no creativity. There is no organic anything. There's just no organicness to anything now. They have created, and when I say they, I just mean, I guess, the government, really, right? At the end of the day. And there is a lot of responsibility on their part, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not putting 1,000% of the blame on the parents, and I'm not putting 1,000% of blame on, I guess, anyone in particular or anything, right? Like, it definitely does go back to the way in which our government chooses to go about these things. But on the same token, your kid should be able to read, right? That says a lot more about you, especially if I catch you on social media, out in the club, getting your nails done, buying brand new Jordans, right? Like, you name it, right? Like, again, this is for not just women. I know I was talking about women a lot. This is for men too. These are for fathers too, who, for whatever reason, are choosing to just not care anymore, right? Just as much as the mothers are, or even passing on the same cycles, right? That's another thing. Like, even if the child has parents, even if these children of the up and coming age have a family, apparently now there are two groups, right? You either have group A, which is we put a screen in front of our 5-year-old child at every point in time, or B, we don't talk to our kid ever about anything. And people wonder why kids struggle with things so much, right? Like, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't even know where to begin, right? Like, what is the very first thing that a parent or that a family does that sets their child back? And if I had to give an answer, I really do think it goes down to just not talking to your kid, or not explaining things, at least. Because for whatever reason, people seem to forget that your kid does not know anything. They don't know anything about anything. So what that means is they can't even try. They can't even attempt something because they do not know. And so it's your job to explain these things to them so that they can try, so that they can attempt these things. Even if you don't know, even just telling them what a name of an object is enough. That's more than enough, right? You don't have to have a PhD. You don't have to be a genius. All you have to do is just talk the same way I'm talking right now, right? And again, you see all the time where people will say things like, oh, when you talk to your kid, don't use baby language. Don't gibber, gibberish. Don't use gibberish. Try not to speak to them in that what is it called? Like, I guess baby voice, right? Don't try not to speak with them in the baby voice because it sets them back, blah, 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 blah. And so people have all of these tips. They have all of these tricks. They know everything. Oh, don't say good job. Don't say I'm proud. Don't say this. Don't do this. Don't. They know everything about everything. But then you ask the kid, oh, what is it you do day to day? Nothing. Just go on my iPad. Sometimes I draw dinosaurs. I watch YouTube. I'm like, oh, well, you talk to your parents about anything? What do they talk to you about? Oh, they just ask me how school is. Like, that's it? Yeah, pretty much. And it's like, well, no wonder these kids don't know how to interact with anything. No wonder they are the way they are. No wonder everything is the way that it is. It's because you don't talk to them. And look, I'm not a parent, so in no way am I trying to judge, and in no way am I casting hard like criticisms or anything like that. But man, when these statistics keep coming out every single month and it's something new, you see, I swear to God, I think I see a statistic every single month about how kids are becoming worse at things. And I don't know if this is true. This might be just misinformation, but I heard that the Gen Alpha, the up and coming generation, is the first generation to go backwards in intelligence, right? What they say is that every generation gets smarter than the last, but for the first time, Gen Alpha is getting dumber, which, again, no idea if that really is true. You really never know with these media outlets, right? You never know what their goal is, what their motive is anymore. But man, there has got to be something, right? Because think about it. I want you to place yourself in a child's shoes, let's say like 12, right? and you're learning all types of new things about life. And let's say you're listening to your favorite artist for the first time. Now imagine if you were incapable of understanding the greatness of your favorite artist for the first time that you ever heard, right? Regardless of what age you were, let's say. It doesn't have to be 12 years old, but just put yourself in the position of whatever age you were when you first heard your favorite artist, and imagine not being able to understand it because you couldn't read, because nobody was there to try to teach you how to understand these things. Nobody was there to teach you about triple entendres. Nobody was there to teach you about the references that they're making, or even just the instruments alone, right? Think about that. That's what the up and coming generations are going through. That's the type of stuff that they're going to have to deal with. Who's going to be there to tell them about these things? Because guess what? Their parents probably don't even know. Their parents probably don't even know why those artists are so good, which is the reason why these things continue, right? Everybody always says it all the time. Oh, we pass down problems. We pass down generational trauma. You hear it all the time. People always talk about these things. They're always spoken about. But then the second that it actually comes to the actions that it takes in order for these things to go away, in order for things to change, the story is always different. There's always something missing. There's always something, oh, I'm busy. Oh, the school. Oh, I don't have time. It's always something, right? We hear these things all over social media. And look, obviously, yes, the people making these social media posts are the ones who know these things, and that doesn't necessarily mean the people struggling with the problems know these things. But again, the point that I'm trying to make is that there really is no way in which you can go about this where you don't know, right? Where you're just completely naive and unaware of what's going on and what to do about it, right? Like at some point in time, there is something you can be doing about these things. And I don't know, man. It makes me sad. I know I say that a lot. I say that a lot in my videos. And I try not to say that in a way where, like, performatively, I guess. I do really mean that in a sincere way, because I can't imagine being 15 when I first heard West Side Connection, right? That is one of my favorite rap groups of all time. And it was because of how it affected me in a way where I was able to understand what makes an artist amazing, right? Like, music is something very important to me. Music is something that I enjoy a lot because of the way that it makes me feel like it's taking me out of just a mental state. Like, it puts you into another state of mind almost, I feel like, right? And I'm sure you've had plenty of experiences with these type of things, because you could pick anything, right? It doesn't have to just be music, but it's the most common thing. And so I guess that's what makes it easier to talk about, right? Like, I can't imagine being 15 and hearing West Side Connection and not being able to understand what makes them great, or even saying something like, oh, this is just the same. This is the same as every other artist. This is the same as every other group. Or even movies, right? Like, let's say movies too. These kids are going to watch movies one day and they're going to have no understanding of what's going on. And God forbid the parent doesn't know how to explain it either to them, right? Like, these are just very, very, very subtle things, right? There's obviously 1,000 bigger issues that I could be talking about, but I'm just talking about the basics, man, the things that they should not have to worry about. So anyways, that was on my mind. If you agree, disagree, whatever it is you think, let me know down below in the comments. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for watching.